Good day, everyone. Welcome to our general mathematics class. I am Ma'am Shirley, and for our first discussion, we will be having functions. Let's start. Okay, so functions. How are we going to define functions? So functions are mathematical expressions that define a relationship or rule that pairs an element of the domain, the input, with exactly one element in the range or the output. So, pwede nating imagine ang ating function na gaya ng isang machine like this one. So, all permissible values of x will consist our domain. So, the domain will be the set of values that will be processed in our function. So, the resulting values will be the y values, which will consist our range. Let us have an example. So, let's say we have f of x is equal to x plus 5. Let's say we have an input value of 3. So this value 3 here will be our input value. So to do that, we are going to replace our variable x in our function with the input value, which is 3. So that will become 3 plus 5, and that will give us our output value, which is 8. So we have different ways on how we can describe a function. First, we can describe a function by a set of ordered pairs, such as this one. So we have here 3 ordered pairs describing a function. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. Next, we can also describe a function by a table of values. So we have here rows with the x values with its corresponding row for the y values. Next, we can also describe a function by mapping. So by mapping, you can see here on the left side, our domain or the x values, and on the right side, our range or the y values. So the arrows here indicate the relationship between the elements of the domain with the elements in the range. Next, we can also describe a function by its graph, such as this one. So we know that for each function, there corresponds a graph. So it depends on the function. Let's say, for example, we have a linear function. We're going to have a line as its graph, a quadratic function. We're going to have a parabola as its graph, and so on. And then, of course, a function can also be described using its equation. So as an example, we have here y is equal to 2x minus 3, or y is equal to 3. Okay, so in dealing with functions, we must take note of this one. It says here, every function is a relation, but not all relations are functions. The question is, how are we going to know whether a given relation is a function or not? Let us have an example. Let's say we have a given set of ordered pairs. So sa definition natin kanina ng function, sabi doon, every element of the domain should be paired with exactly one element in the range. So ibig sabihin, bawat element daw na ating domain, kailangan isa lang ang ka-pair niya sa range. Let's take a look at this one. So let's say we have here 1, 2, 2, 2, and 3, 2 as our set of ordered pairs. To check whether this is a function or not, kailangan tingnan natin yung ating x values. So our x values are 1, 2, and 3. So to know whether this is a function or not, kailangan walang mauulit na x value sa ating set of ordered pairs. So in this case, wala namang naulit na value sa x, therefore we can say that this is a function. Second one. Again, we will be checking our x values. So our x values are 1, 4, and 3. Still, no x value is repeated. Therefore, we can say that this describes a function. Last example, we have here 1, 2, and 2. So what have you observed? In our third example, the value for x, which is 2, was repeated. Naulit siya. So we can say that this set of ordered pairs is not a function. Next, how about if we have a table of values, such as this? So, same will be applied as kung paano natin chinek kanina yung set of ordered pairs. Titingin lang din tayo sa ating domain. So, if may naulit na value sa ating domain, ibig sabihin, that given relation is not a function. Okay? Ayan. And then for our second example, we have here, ayan, checking our x values, we have 2, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Wala pa rin naulit na value. Therefore, we can say that this is a function. Okay, so how about if a given relation is described as this one by mapping? So we have here w paired to 0, x paired to 1, y paired to 2, and z paired to 2. So can we consider this as a function or not? Okay, so with this one, as you can see in our domain, each element of the domain, isa lang naman din ang kanyang naging kapair sa ating range. So, our definition or our definition for a function was satisfied in this given example. Therefore, we can say that this is a function. Another example. Let's say we have here a relation pairing A to 1, B to 2, B again to 3, and C to 4. So as you can see here, our element in the domain B was paired with 2 values in our range, which are 2 and 3. So with this one, you can say that this given relation is not a function. Okay, so let's say we have here naman the graph. So how are we going to know whether a given graph represents a function or not? So this is where we're going to have the vertical line test. So from the word itself, we have a vertical line. So we're going to draw a vertical line intersecting our graph. So if the vertical line intersects the graph at exactly 1 point, we can say that that given graph is a function. Okay, so para mas maintindihan, let us have an example. Let's say we have a parabola opening downward like this one. So by vertical line test, we're going to draw a vertical line intersecting our graph. So upon doing that, we can see that the vertical line intersected our graph at how many points? So in this case, ayan, exactly 1 point. Okay, so since the vertical line intersected our graph at exactly 1 point, we can say that this graph represents a function. Another example. Let's say we have here a circle. So again, drawing a vertical line intersecting our graph. Let's check. So the vertical line intersected the graph at 2 points. Okay? So since the vertical line intersected the graph at more than 1 point, we can say that this is not a function. Okay, so let us have another example. So we have here a line. So let's see whether this one represents a function or not. So by vertical line test, ayan. So as you can see, the vertical line intersected our graph at exactly one point. Therefore, we can say that this is a function. Next one, we have here a parabola that opens to the right. So let's check whether this is a function or not. By vertical line test, intersected our graph at 2 points. So therefore, this one cannot be considered a function. So it's not a function. So that ends our discussion for the introduction to functions. Thank you very much for listening. and see you again in our next video.